Hello and welcome to video 4, where we'll cover the Invoices to be Processed container. This will take us into the Ready for Payment tab. This is where you start considering how you want to process your batches and group them out. The Invoices to be processed will contain current period invoices and the next 2 periods, as well as any prior invoices that have yet to be paid. The first thing to note on this screen is that all of your columns you see on this grid are the same as the ones you saw in the Open Invoice List container. Okay. However, at the top here, we do have this control total section. This is telling you the prior, current, and next period totals for the grid. So I see my prior period here for all invoices that I have in the grid. And then you have the current period, which is telling you for September, you have $6,100 to be paid. And then for the next period, October, you have $4,900 to be paid. Okay. Now in your Ready for Payment tab, this is where you are creating your payment batches. Clients would need to decide as a company whether they want to pay September for September in the current month, or whether they want to do a prepayment situation where they pay this month for the next month. If you wanted to do the prepayment, then you could come over to the period column and filter here. Okay. And say you want to see everything that is equal to the next periods, or for October, for example, you would select your date here, enter October of 2018, and then click Filter. So now I see for October of 2018, I have 3 invoices ready to be paid. We scroll back over, if we select them all, and then scroll back to the right, you will see the selection total here is equal to $4,900. So once again, the selection total, this is just telling you the sum of the highlighted invoices that you have here. The batch for October would be equal to $4,900. So now at this point, you can move forward with creating the payment batch, but before you do, you also have the ability to export this grid in PDF, Excel, or CSV. So I'm going to go ahead and export it to PDF so you can see the Ready for Payment report, just to double check your numbers and ensure everything is accurate. This report is a replica of the grid you were just looking at, but in PDF format. So we'll click Download Report. And once again, you'll see that you just have all of those same columns, just in a PDF format. Okay, so now we can click the Create Payment Batch. And this is going to launch the Invoice Posting Process pop-up. This is where you will enter your batch details. But before you enter anything on this pop-up, you can click one of these export icons here, and this will launch your pre-batch report. So I'm going to select the PDF, and this will show you what your batch is going to look like. Again, we'll click Download Report to maximize that. It's giving you your vendor information, property and lease information, as well as your suite and some running totals. It's giving you invoice amount and then the invoice total. It's also going to give you a breakdown of the charges and then the total of that. Down at the bottom, it's giving you the grand total, which should match the total you saw in the Ready for Payment tab, which it does. You'll see $4,900 down here. You want to be sure that they do match. You could take this report and send it out to your accounting team and have them verify that yes, this is how much we need to pay for this period. And if they come back and say you're good to go, then you can move forward with filling out the information in the pop-up window that we see over here. So the first thing you'll see is the batch ID. And this is auto-assigned to the batch. You can search for the batch in the system with this batch ID number. And then you can enter the batch name. As a best practice, we do recommend using a standard naming convention that you can identify in the system. For instance, October 2018 rent. Then you can enter the period field. So we're going to select October here. Then you have the invoice date field, which is typically when you are creating the batch. So we'll go ahead and select September 30th. Okay. Your due date field is not required because typically you would be coming in making payments anyway, but for manual invoices, it is common to enter a due date. Okay, go ahead and skip that field for this example. Then you have the control field. So if your ERP system is giving you a control number saying you owe this amount for this period, then you can enter that number here. Now, if you do not have a control number, then the control number will default to the detail number you see down below. The detail number is the sum of all the invoices you have selected in the Ready for Payment tab. The same number you saw in the selection total and pre-batch report. So within this pop-up, you're just making sure those numbers are aligning and there are no discrepancies. Okay. If there were a discrepancy, let's say you had a control number of $5,000, then you would see that $100 difference down below in the difference tab. Okay. If there is a difference, the batch will be displayed as not in balance. So let's enter $5,000 here, for example. You'll receive this message, the batch is not in balance. So therefore, it will not let you move forward with processing until it is in balance. You can go back and see if you're missing invoices or what the issue may be, and then move forward with processing. Okay, for now, I'm going to go ahead and enter the $4,900 again. Okay, so now I'm going to click yes, and it's going to give me a pop-up asking if you are sure. Okay, so we're going to click OK. Then you're going to receive a message that says batch has been created, and then the batch ID number. So if I click OK, I'll come back to the screen and see that the grid has been cleared because I have moved all of these invoices over. They have been paid. Okay. So now if I go over here to the left and click expand beside AP reports and select the batch history, then I can see the batch that we just created. So here's my October 2018 rent batch, my batch ID. Okay. You'll also see that it has a status of complete, so I know that it's done. There are 3 possible statuses you could see here: queued, complete, or failed. If it said queued, it would have a spinning circle next to it, basically as if it were in progress. And this brings us to an end of video 4 on the invoices to be processed. Just to quickly recap, we talked about the invoices to be processed container. We talked about how to create a payment batch and how to filter within the container. We also talked about how to view the pre-batch reports, and then we processed our batch. And then we took a look at the batch history to see the status of the batch that we processed. Please continue on with video 5, where we'll cover the invoice history tab.